Drew McIntyre is the undisputed WWE champion. It's been 2 weeks, and it's still wild to say that in January of 2026. Not only is he undisputed WWE champion, but he's undisputed WWE champion at a very important time in the calendar, because the road to WrestleMania conventionally begins at the Royal Rumble, which happens next week. Now, as we've learned over the last couple of years, the road to WrestleMania really begins a little bit earlier, but they put the sign up and people start pointing at the sign and matches start getting made and graphics start coming out at the Royal Rumble. And Drew McIntyre's the guy. He is the guy in WWE right now. No one was expecting that. If you did, kudos to you. You might be lying. But if you truly did, I'll give you credit. You called it. But I don't think there's very many, if any of you, out there. So the question becomes, what now? And I've seen this over the last 2 weeks. Conversation aplenty around the wrestling world. How long does Drew McIntyre hold on to the title? Does he drop it at the Royal Rumble? Does he drop it at Elimination Chamber? Does he drop it at a random Smackdown, a la what we saw last year when Rhea Ripley was beaten by Io Sky on a Monday Night Raw on the road to WrestleMania? Do we get a repeat of that? Or does Drew McIntyre walk into WrestleMania as the undisputed WWE champion? I'm going to say this right now. That feels weird to say. That it's even a possibility. That everybody here is saying, okay, this was just to change things up, to throw you off the scent. That instead of that, maybe it's just what it is. It is Drew McIntyre getting an opportunity to carry that title through a WrestleMania season and onto WrestleMania. It's crazy for a multitude of reasons, the least of which, he's not even at the poker table, right? The famed poker table on the WrestleMania 42 poster that's been going around for 2 months after all those vignettes of random shoes walking the hallway, and we finally see what it amounted to, and it was just Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns sitting around a poker table for a WrestleMania 42 promo shoot. Drew McIntyre wasn't in that promo shoot, and yet he is the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion at the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. But what if I told you that the main event of WrestleMania not only includes Drew McIntyre, which would be a massive swerve from what everybody was expecting, but what if I told you the main event has already been teased on WWE television? It might be a little outside the box. It might be a far-fetched idea. But I think the one WrestleMania main event for WrestleMania 42 that no one sees coming is Drew McIntyre versus Oba Femi for the undisputed WWE Championship, a payoff from their first interaction at Saturday night's main event. It's wild to think that that could potentially be it, and some people might even right now be sitting there thinking, there's not a chance that happens. Oba Femi hasn't even debuted on the main roster yet, and you're putting him in the main event of WrestleMania for the title? I like the World Heavyweight Championship, but look at the lineage of the WWE title, that specific one that is around Drew McIntyre's waist. It is Roman Reigns and his 1,300-day plus reign, Cody Rhodes, then John Cena and his record-breaking 17th world title, then Cody Rhodes again before Drew McIntyre, surprisingly, was able to take it from him in 3 stages of hell a couple of weeks ago. But stranger things have happened, and the groundwork has been laid. Femi got the opportunity to go one-on-one with Cody Rhodes on John Cena's last night. At the Saturday night's main event for John Cena, it was Femi, who at the time was NXT champion, versus Cody Rhodes. And they were putting on a heck of a match to lead off that show. And then Drew McIntyre interferes, cost Femi his big moment, and Femi retaliates in a very physical manner on Drew McIntyre. Follow that up a couple weeks later, Femi retains the NXT championship and then vacates the NXT championship. There have been vignettes on both Raw and SmackDown, but yet we have not seen Femi. So how do we get there from this point forward? There's already connective tissue. There's already a baseline from which this story can be told. How do we get to Las Vegas in April from where we're at now with Femi and Drew McIntyre? I think you start at the Royal Rumble. Drew beats whoever he faces, whoever ends up being his opponent in Riyadh. And then I think Oba wins after debuting in the Royal Rumble. Again, it's a rocket ship. But is there anything that WWE has done? Is there anything that Femi has done that tells you that they wouldn't put him on a first-class ticket straight to the penthouse of this organization? I think outside of that, Cody Rhodes eliminates Roman Reigns, and that's kind of where we go. And then Femi eliminates Cody Rhodes to win the Royal Rumble. I think he calls out Drew McIntyre because obviously he will. And then I think that you move forward with that as your WrestleMania match. Meanwhile, at Elimination Chamber, I think Cody Rhodes gets his rematch for the WWE Championship, saying that he has earned it because of whatever he does between now and then. And I think he finds a way to get himself a championship match against Drew McIntyre at Elimination Chamber. But then I think Drew beats Cody again, but this time it's with interference from Roman Reigns. And I think that's how we get Roman versus Cody 3 at WrestleMania. It's not as much a story about the title. The title has been a big part of their story, but everybody always goes back to that short vignette on the field at Georgia Tech, where Roman Reigns simply says, "You're in my way in life." And everything that he's done to this point since kind of goes with that fact, right? The last thing we saw of Roman Reigns was War Games. He was on the losing team. So too was Cody Rhodes. Roman helps up CM Punk. He stretches his hand out to Cody Rhodes, and Cody disrespectfully does not take the help. And all of a sudden, there's more tension again between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. I think that tension builds at the Rumble. I think it boils over at Elimination Chamber. And I think there's some stipulation to where whoever wins at WrestleMania gets the other person out of their way as they move forward on their quest back to that title that's right now around the waist of Drew McIntyre. But I think that at Mania, it's more of a who can best who between Roman and Cody. And I think that leaves Femi to go one-on-one with Drew McIntyre. And again, some people might say it's too early for Femi, but young stars in 2026 are getting big opportunities. Trick Williams was in a number 1 contenders match for the Undisputed WWE Championship. So he's in the title picture 2 weeks after debuting on Friday Night SmackDown. Jordan Grace gets called up, and she's automatically in the world title picture against Jade Cargill. Braun Breaker already had a world title match earlier in 2026, earlier in January. So I don't think that it's too early for Oba Femi, because I think WWE is in a position now where they are ready to push these young stars against their established veterans. And Oba Femi versus Drew McIntyre is the picture perfect way to headline a WrestleMania where that is one of the underlying goals. It's one that a lot of people don't see coming, and I think that's exactly why WWE is going to value it, because even though the main audience is not overly aware of what Oba Femi can do, they're going to learn very quickly over these next 3 months leading into Vegas in April. So Oba versus Drew. I can see it now. Let me know in the comment section if you think this is just a complete reach for a WrestleMania match, or if you think I'm onto something here with a match that not a lot of people see coming, but could provide sparks and could provide very memorable moments at WrestleMania 42. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Remember, if you enjoy this content, to like, share, and subscribe to this channel at Nick Belsky for more wrestling content and Pittsburgh sports content. But that's going to do it for this one. We'll see you guys next time.